Hello and welcome to episode 202 of First Geek 411. I'm your host, Cameron Franklin, and this week from the Great White North, the Hoot and Howl, Shanine, how are you doing?
The snow is almost all gone.
Woo!
Hopefully not jinxing it.
You just jinxed it. Like I did
8
last
feet
week.
tomorrow.
Probably.
And then the person who is jinxing it, not so foreign, Chris, how are you doing tonight?
I'm well. I'm good. Enough.
Yeah. This week, we are chatting about IGN's recent Pixar rankings, E3 being canceled, Jim Carrey potentially retiring, and then ranking our top 3 Jim Carrey roles. We'll get into that after we catch up. And listeners, as always, you can find us on our social media as OneGeek411. You can also join our Discord server or shoot us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. You can watch live Monday nights, 6:45 Mountain Time over on twitch.tv/OneGeek411, or find the episodes over on our YouTube by searching for OneGeek411. You can also like, comment, and subscribe, and then check out our Redbubble store if you want any of that First Geek merch. Let's get into what we have been up to. Shanine, why don't you start us off?
Okay, I will start by saying I just looked at the forecast and it's literally supposed to snow tonight, but it's also supposed to be 15 degrees Celsius for the whole week, basically. So it will melt like immediately, so it's fine. All right. Watched 2 movies this weekend. Finally saw West Side Story on Disney Plus.
How was that?
Good. I'd never seen West Side Story before, like in any form, so it was totally new to me. I think I was expecting this movie to be more of like a movie version, but it felt more like a cinematic stage show, which is fine. It just wasn't what I was expecting. So you just have to like lean into the cheese and it's fine. It was good. And we also watched Turning Red, which I thought was cute.
Mm-hmm. So. We watched Turning Red as well. I really liked it. Can't complain about red pandas.
Yeah, it's fine.
Right?
Too many humans for Chris.
Like, get out of pandas. The way.
And started Camp Nano on April 1st. So probably heard me talk about NaNoWriMo before, which is National Novel Writing Month in November. And throughout the year, they have a couple Camp Nanos, which are more relaxed on their rules. And so I'm just doing a time goal instead of a word count goal. And I'm working on planning a novel instead of writing a novel. It's a totally new project, so I'm excited.
Is it going to tie in with any of the stuff you've written before, or is it like wholly on its own?
Completely different.
Love it.
It's going to be about supervillains. I'm excited.
Let's see. I'll say you definitely threw me for a loop with this when you were posting about it, and I was like, man, I could have sworn that was in November. I was super confused.
You are correct. And then we also watched the first episode of Moon Knight, which I'm very excited for the rest of the show now. I'm just really excited.
Yeah. It was so good. I'm really hopeful that they'll keep the tone.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of, to me, it had the same vibes as like early WandaVision did. We were trying to like figure out the mystery and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
What did you think of the accent?
I was like really confused at the beginning. I was like, wait, does he have an accent? This doesn't feel right, but also it doesn't feel wrong.
Yeah, we were Googling where is Oscar Isaacs from. We were over there with you. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and hop in here. Also watched Moon Knight and Turning Red. Definitely recommend both of them. Yeah, looking forward to more Moon Knight. Very curious to how, if this will tie in to the larger MCU story. The director has been pretty upfront that it's like pretty separated, but that's exactly what they would say if Andrew Garfield was in it. So, but yeah, I'm hoping that we get some really cool Easter eggs and stuff like that. I know I've seen a lot of cool theories about potential tie-ins with Black Panther. And so we'll see there. I want to believe. Then, other than that, been playing more Elden Ring and Horizon, making progress, chipping away at that open world map in both of them. Beat the second big boss in Elden Ring. So that was pretty hype. And then, other than that, book club, which is now up on our YouTube, dropped today. And so our discussion of Tales and Typos by J.E. Tankersley. And so people can go check that out. But yeah, that's me. Chris, what about you?
I haven't been able to do anything nerdy because I forgot that I made a ton of agreements last fall, and I forgot dates because that's how my brain works. So this last week I hosted a table for a fundraiser, which they did change and end up they did update the proceeds. For this particular fundraiser is just a nonprofit that was started last year that I sit on the board for because I don't know, diversity maybe, I don't know. I feel like I'm just a diversity seat. I don't know for sure. But the specific fundraiser raised I think like $8,000 for Ukraine relief. Super nice. Cool. And then this weekend, there was a ton, or this last Saturday, they normally do them this year. They weren't going to, but they decided to do them. I forget the full title, but there were some drag shows around town. Some of my coworkers' roommates were in it, but so I went and helped with those. They're a lot of fun. They're mostly starting some campaigns to kind of combat the don't say gay bills that are popping up around the country. And Montana's no exception. So the specific event I was at raised $1,100 of $6,000 that they needed to start those coalitions. I guess. I don't know for sure. I was just there. And I gave some money.
Just here to help.
Yep. It's like, I just show up. Where do you need me? So that's kind of what I've been up to. In what little free time I've had this week, I guess I've been watching an episode of Lucifer here and there, like before going to bed when I get home at 9:30. I don't know. It's been great.
Yes. Keep us posted on fundraisers.
Well, I hope next one's in 2 weeks.
Oh, got some time.
Yeah. That's when they actually reminded me, not the day before.
Perfect.
Like, that's always a stipulation. If you're planning something 6 months away and you ask me, I'll agree. But I always tell you, you're going to have to remind me at least 2 weeks ahead of time, or when your planning meetings are if you need me there, because I'm not going to remember. But I promise not to double book, mostly, outside of book club. Sorry, guys.
How dare you? For a good cause. Worth it.
Yeah.
Let's jump into our discussion topics for the week. Chris, why don't you keep going and bring us into your discussions for this week?
So what's so annoying about so much things that happened last week is so much came out on the weekend, and it's the most inconvenient day because I'm like, are you just messing with me? And you're like, have to go back and you have to research and like double check the date. April 1st sucks, but E3 got canceled, and I wasn't sure if it was real or if it was just a Twitter joke. But it has in fact been canceled. Originally, they did announce originally they were going to be a digital only again this year, and then it sounds like people don't want to pay them to be featured on their page when they can host their own event. So E3 is canceled this year, hoping they do still have plans to potentially bring it back in person next year. 2023 is the ultimate goal. But yeah, technically that came out on March 31st. But when I was seeing it pop up on my news feed is the 1st of April. And just,
And that's the thing with April's Fool jokes is a lot of time they don't come on April 1st. You got to be ready leading up to it because you don't want to get got.
Like, you don't want to accidentally see like it come out like they're based on the East Coast. And so it launches at midnight on April 1st for them. But for you, you're reading the article on March 31st still thinking it's real. I like it when it's so obvious, like Corsair's new product, the One Key keyboard, the K1. Yeah, it's like obvious. That's not a real thing. Or
For Janine as well. Any April Fool's jokes stood out to you this year?
Like the very first one I saw totally got me because I totally forgot what day it was. Some person in the tabletop RPG space was like, D&D Beyond will now, or Wizards of the Coast will now have a code for all your books on D&D Beyond. And I was like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
For real? And then I went to the comments and they were like, oh, you totally got me. Oh, you got me. Oh, it's April 1st. I'm like,
so dumb. That's the worst.
Yeah.
of course. Of
That's
course
not even
it
a good
is.
one. It's like something that's actually a reasonable product should never be an
Right.
April Fool's joke.
Yeah. It's like this is something that they could 100% easily do,
Yeah,
They
they've
just
said
choose not
that
to.
they won't though, because
Yeah.
money.
but they could.
Like,
They should.
it's
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be free. Just give me a discount code.
Mhm.
Like 15% or something. I don't know.
I agree.
But yeah, we've all made our stance on that. We all agree. We all agree.
Yep.
For me, Sony tweeted out that they were doing PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale 2,
That was
which
a good one.
is their
Okay.
which is like their version of Smash Bros. That was not well received. But I really enjoyed it.
I don't
like
know
it's one
why
of those
it wasn't well
games.
received. I thought it was great.
I like it. I think it's a good twist on the formula, without just trying to be a Smash Brothers clone.
Different characters, yeah.
Yeah, and like it is like a completely different play style, like in terms of what you're actually going for. I really enjoyed it. I definitely understand the gameplay complaints that people had, having tried to play that online. But then again, maybe that was just OC Wi-Fi. So here we are.
No,
But
it wasn't.
no,
No, they had severe server problems with that game. Because I even remember playing it not at OC. Because I wasn't at OC at the time, I don't think.
I
Maybe
don't
for a
think you
little
were.
bit. Yeah. And I was playing like on some of the best internet around. And it took forever to try to connect. Like just for you to like knowing who you're gonna play with, trying to connect with them. I couldn't even imagine what the random queues were like.
Chris, any April Fools stand out to you besides not E3?
So E3 wasn't an April Fool's joke, so we've determined that. I don't know, like I really just avoided everything that day.
Yep.
All the TikTokers were doing the same April Fool's joke. You know, standard. I'm leaving the platform. Blah, 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 boo hoo.
You won't.
It's like false. It's April 1st. It's like you're not gonna get me. I'm not got. I don't know, just the K1. I don't like what was crazy about the K1 is people because of the keyboard space, they had some like custom mechanical keyboard builders. Like that was their April Fools too. But I don't know. Nothing really stood out to me this year. Except for one that's yet to be determined whether it was a joke or not. Which is Sony's rumored acquisition of From Software.
That would be bananas.
Right?
Elden Ring 2 exclusive to PlayStation. Let's go.
Like we do know Sony is in talks for other acquisitions. But yeah, on April 1st, some exec tweeted something about being acquired by Sony from Software, and you're like, you don't joke about big things like that. First of all, if it is actually what happening and you're just teasing it, that's messed up. But you could also cause a lot of problems for the process. Like, I don't know, insider trading or something. I don't know how that works. But come on.
It's all made up and the points don't matter.
Right? So that one's yet to be determined, because you don't do that stuff on April 1st. Give us verifiable information.
Just no one do anything on social media on April 1st.
Pretty much. What else? Oh, and then, but one also more Sony news. We did get the announcement on the 29th of PlayStation's new PlayStation Plus with 3 flexible options. So essentially they're in June, right? Yeah, June. Sure, June. Pretty sure
October. February.
Pretty sure it's June is when this kicks off officially. But they're breaking it down into 3 tiers of PlayStation Plus. We have PlayStation Plus Essential, PlayStation Plus Extra, and PlayStation Plus Premium. And these are the official names from the PlayStation blog. So many. But essentially, so like the price breakdown, so PlayStation Plus Essential is pretty much what we have going now. With 2 monthly downloadable games, exclusive discounts, cloud storage for saved games, and online multiplayer access. So no changes. Pricing is along the same lines. It's at $10 a month, or $24.99 quarterly, or $60 a year. And yeah, no changes in that. But PlayStation Plus Ultra, you get all the of course, you're going to get all the benefits of the Essential tier, but you're also going to get the 400 plus titles for what is this? This is the roll in of, what is it called? PlayStation Play or
PlayStation Now.
Now, yep. Of 400 plus PS4 and PS5 games access from the PlayStation Studios catalog. This starts at $15 a month and goes $100 or $100 a year. And then Premium, getting access to 340 additional games, going back to the PS3 catalog via cloud streaming, and even original PlayStation, PS2, and PSP games. Kind of
Rest in peace, PlayStation Vita. You don't make the list.
It doesn't.
Nope. It's missing.
It probably had
it's the only one not there.
They might consider that under the PS3 era. I don't know.
Just saying PSP gets a shout out, but not the Vita.
But also access cloud streaming services. Everything was time limited. Game trials will also be offered in that tier, starting at $18 a monthly, $50 quarterly, and $120 yearly. Like that savings on the yearly one.
Mm-hmm. I saw the number crunching. It's roughly double if you pay month to month for a whole year.
Right. Because you're almost at that $20, whereas if you pay yearly, it's $10 a month. which is the equivalent of the essential. I don't know. Do you plan on upgrading?
For me, it's going to depend. I briefly had PlayStation Now, did not overly think it was worth it. And so it's going to depend on what these other games are. That said, they announced that Returnal is going to be one of the games that comes with the middle tier, which I feel like if you were going to go buy a copy of Returnal, it would equal roughly $60 or roughly $30, just as like a ballpark off the top of my head. So at that point, you might as well upgrade to that middle tier. And like, I'm already paying I bit my tongue. I'm already paying the 60. So at least going to that middle tier doesn't seem crazy, but we got to see what games there's going to be. Like, that's when you say there's PlayStation 5 games, which ones?
You're right.
And so once we get that, that'll be the determining factor for me.
Yeah, the yearly prices really aren't that bad either. I'm just wondering, like when the yearly like the PlayStation Plus passes go on sale around the holidays. It's like, are they going to indicate what tier, or are they just going to be an amount that will apply toward your whatever your choice, or are we going to see separate product or key codes for the individual products? But yeah, I mean, the backdating catalog will be interesting. See what's available, but I don't know. I have so many years saved up.
Yeah. I typically fall into the old game is old category of like, I don't necessarily have a lot of desire to go back and play a bunch of like PS1, PS2 stuff. There's definitely some games that I think are very fun, but I just don't really regularly go back. Like 2021 was the first year I really played old games. And I think the oldest game I played was from like PS3 era with The Last of Us remaster. So like, and even then it was the PS4 version of that game. So,
right.
But
sometimes I like to go back and play some PlayStation
you can play
classic
Tactics,
games, but
maybe.
Ooh, but maybe I have Tactics though. I own.
Janine, do you regularly go back to older stuff, or are you a new is always better person?
I just kind of play whatever I'm interested in. I don't keep up with what's new. I'm probably only playing old games at this point. Yeah, I don't know. I still feel new to gaming, so I have to like catch up on all the old things.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like honestly, that's kind of the best place to be with things like this, because then it's like here are all the classics versus like me, like again, because I'm also one of those people, like I don't really reread books, I don't really go back and do stuff. So like for me, it's like, oh, there's all these games I really enjoyed, but I probably wouldn't go back to them. But you can come into it with fresh eyes and be like, oh, I've heard so much about this, I should go check out XYZ or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's jump into our next discussion topic. Shanine, there's no way this is going to get heated. What do you got?
No. All right. IGN came out with their definitive Pixar movie rankings, and it is so bad. I'm not sure the list could be worse. I guess there'll be a link in the show notes or something. So
I'll drop a link in there.
How bad this list is. But for us, what one movie on this list makes you the most infuriated with where it has been ranked?
Yeah. So do you want to, I don't know, do you want to go through like the top 5, bottom 5 and just kind of list off what's there for people? Or like, what does your heart tell you? Or do you want to go through our standouts first and then take a look at it?
Either is good. I can I can do a quick. We'll do bottom 5 first. In last place, we have Cars 3, then Cars 2, then Finding Dory, Monsters University, and The Good Dinosaur.
I mean, that I can agree with.
Not even close.
Yeah.
For the
But-
5 worst?
Yeah.
For the bottom 5? Cars?
Yeah.
Cars definitely belong there. There's too much thought.
No.
Like, you have to think about cars too much. It's only 2 and 3. I can't even remember.
We're not
the plots
getting
for those.
heated yet, Chris.
Oh,
The
I'm
top
getting
5
heated.
Said not yet. So in 5th place, we have Inside Out, Toy Story, Wall-E, Toy Story 3, and in 1st place, The Incredibles. Okay, now feel free to get heated.
I'll say for me, one that blows my mind is that Monsters University and Finding Dory are so low. Like those are the ones on the bottom end that like, I don't necessarily think they are peak Pixar by any means. But I enjoyed those a lot more than some of the more middle of the pack ones. Maybe this is just because I felt let down by Luca and Soul. And those are ones that are middle of the pack that I would have placed a lot lower. But I'm also sad Onward is so low. I don't like it. That's one that like, I don't know. It's number 18. I don't know where I would have placed it. Like, I feel like it's one of those that might end up being around there for me, but like in my heart, it's higher up.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the classics got like displaced for newer ones that aren't better, they're just newer. And yeah, same. Soul and Luca, I definitely would have put in the bottom 5.
Do you really think Cars 2 and 3 are better than those?
I have not seen Cars 3. Cars 2 can be in the bottom 5. I'm fine with that. But they're just
Like that's what I mean. Like
The Good
like-
Dinosaur is in the bottom 5.
yeah, that's the one I would disagree with. But like Monsters University and the Cars movies,
Yeah,
I'm like,
with
okay, this makes
the
sense.
bottom 4 being sequels, I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Brave at 20, I have a problem with. But you know, I feel like they need to swap the Toy Stories. Like, don't get me wrong, Toy Story 3 is wonderful, but
I will die on the hill that Toy Story 2 is bottom 5 for me. That's my hot take.
Wow. That is
Now,
very
now
hot
granted,
take.
I have not seen any of the Cars movies, so you know. So like they're I guess by extension the bottom 3 for me. But like in terms of the ones that I've seen, like my hot take is that Toy Story 2 is like bottom 5.
Okay, I mean, Toy Story 2 is definitely like my least favorite of the Toy Stories.
Have you seen Toy Story 4?
Yes.
Actually, no, I haven't. So
Okay.
that one I haven't seen.
So Toy Story 4 should not be in the 12th spot. That can go in the bottom 5 as well. Easy bottom 5.
Easy bottom 5. I agree with
Toy-
Wall-E. Wall-E being,
Do you love Wall-E?
honestly, Wall-E might be one of my favorite Pixar movies though. So technically I prefer Wall-E over its competition here. Like I don't see like I don't get I love The Incredibles, but number 1
Right? There's something about it that feels off.
feels
So-
I also
so-
love The Incredibles.
So here's my take. And this is one of those things like this list reeks of a bunch of people voted and they added up points. Because I would bet that if you polled 20 people, like Incredibles would probably not be number one on most people's list, but I
it's
bet it
probably
would
consistently high on
I bet it would
everyone's list.
consistently be top 3. Like, so if you polled 20 people, I bet 18 people would probably have like Incredibles in their top 5, and that puts it up at the top. I bet that's how, like, I would not be surprised if that's how it worked. So it's like if you vote for it for number 1, it gets 25 points. If you vote for it for number 25, it gets 1 point. And then that's just how the scores broke out. Like, I could definitely see that being Incredibles, like clinching number 1 because of that.
I can see that.
Makes sense.
I think A Bug's Life should be higher on the list.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like but then again, I also think A Bug's Life is just in general underrated. But then again, so is Ants.
But I mean, Bug's Life is the better one of the two, at least. So
I debate that. I'd say better plot, but I like the design structure of Ants better. The design direction of Ants better. I don't know. Turning Red could probably be beat out some of the like mid stuff in here. Although, like, Turning Red was fine. Like, I think it's in its right spot here. It's enjoyable, but I think it needed like an extra half hour to fully hash out its relationships.
yeah, I can definitely see that, especially with the ants.
Yeah, like mom and ants, like the just like they expect you to know kind of thing, and even like with the closure of the relationships after everything, kind of felt rushed and like, oh, everything's good, and I hate that. It's like they needed to have at least one more argument here. Need one more solid argument, and they would have nailed it.
Listeners, let us know what you think about the rankings. We may be returning to this in a future episode. Stay tuned. But that'll bring us to our final discussion topic. That in what is definitely the most wishy-washy statement ever, Jim Carrey may be retiring. He is apparently, I gotta remember to bring my bunny ears close into my mic, fairly serious about retiring. He says, or retiring after Sonic the Hedgehog 2. He says, well, I'm retiring. Yeah, probably. I feel pretty serious. The 60-year-old told Access Hollywood. It depends. If the angel brings some sort of script that's written in gold ink that says to me it's going to be really important for people to see, I might continue down the road, but I'm taking a break. He added, I really like my quiet life, and I really like putting paint on canvas, and really love my spiritual life, and feel like, and this is something you might never hear another celebrity say for as long as time exists, I have enough. I've done enough. I am enough. What do y'all think about that and about Jim Carrey potentially retiring?
I mean, Sonic is the most recent relevant thing he's done. Yeah, like I think he deserves to retire. But actors don't really just retire, like they take breaks. Like just like you said, yeah, as you mentioned, there's no true retirement because he's gonna be like, 75 and be like, this role's made for me. Probably do something in like 15 years.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if he thinks he's done enough, then absolutely. Go ahead.
This like later in life Jim Carrey is someone that I've like found super interesting. Like he's definitely been through a lot in the recent years. And I kind of like his, like, for somebody who's so known for being bombastic and over the top, his like normal life is so counter to that. Like I just find him super interesting as a person because of that. And even like just like this definitive statement of like, I have enough, I've done enough, I am enough. Like that's something that I think a lot of people would struggle to say about themselves. And I think it's super interesting to hear it coming from an actor that as well known as Jim Carrey. Just kind of being like, you know what, I'm at the point I've done what I need to do. Access Hollywood, or this is The Guardian, sorry, goes on to say Carrey previously had taken long breaks from acting in major films before appearing in the first Sonic movie in 2020. He had a 4-year break in acting since appearing in Dark Crimes and The Bad Batch in 2016. And so it's definitely would be interesting to see if he would come back. I don't know. I could definitely see him appearing as Jim Carrey in a bunch of stuff.
Just only cameos from here on out.
Yeah, like but that will bring us into our top three. After we do some announcements, we're going to be looking a bit more at Jim Carrey's roles. So for announcements, who is planning to stream this week?
Yes, I will be streaming Spirit Fair tomorrow. I've rearranged my whole ship. I'm very excited.
I might be streaming on Wednesday. And so we'll see. Might have some time that evening. Not sure how long of a stream it would be. But I might be on and stream some Magic the Gathering on Wednesday.
I will not be. I've got meetings on meetings, and then I'm traveling this weekend.
And then the next big thing, our next book club is April 28th, looking at The Robe by Lloyd C. Douglas. Chris, we know you started it. Shanine,
Yes.
have you?
No, I have not started it yet.
Plot twist, I have not either. Did we specifically plan this after Tales and Typos so we could all get a head start because it's a long book? Yes. And here we are. Are we surprised? Not at all. But listeners, feel free to start reading and be ready for that at the end of the month. But yeah, let's get into our top three. We're looking at our top three Jim Carrey roles. I had not realized he was 60 years old. And according to IMDb, his first credited role is in 1981 in Rubber Face, which I have not heard of. So one of the things that we were discussing before the show is I feel like I've seen certain Jim Carrey movies a lot, and then the rest of them I've never heard of. So here we are. And just to make sure I get to talk about it, I'm going to go first. My number one is The Truman Show, which I think is very much what I think of as peak Jim Carrey. I know it's one that longtime listeners know because I feel like I mentioned this on like any top three that it'll fit on. I love The Truman Show. I think it's such a cool take. It predicts so much about like social media and the world as it gets more and more tech savvy. It very much gets into like influencer culture and stuff like that. It's a very interesting like take on what the world would soon become. It predicts the rise of reality TV. A lot of very interesting stuff. All about Truman, who has a show about him without him even knowing about it. So definitely recommend. Shanine, what's your number one?
Okay, I'm going to say Count Olaf in A Series of Unfortunate Events. I can't imagine anyone else having been Count Olaf. I don't know. I love A Series of Unfortunate Events. Like, I grew up on those books, and it was great seeing it brought to the screen. I really liked the adaptation, and yeah, he was a really good, creepy, weird Count Olaf.
He did do a really good job.
Yeah. I like that role a whole lot. Chris, what you got?
Well, you know, it's gotta go to the Grinch. It's like, when I think of that movie as in terms of the live action versions, with the exception, like, when you talk about the Grinch, you're talking about the 2000 Grinch. Jim Carrey in his green fuzzy suit. Like,
choices were made.
Choices were definitely made, but that is, yeah, like, that's millennial gold right there. All the Grinches since haven't been the same, you know? I'm not saying it's better than the previous ones, but it's, you know, I'm giving it its due. If you invite me to watch the Grinch and you put something else on and it's not this one, you're wrong. You're just wrong.
So for me, my number two kind of ties in with world events. I am a fan of United States election year Saturday Night Live, and Jim Carrey's role as Joe Biden, fantastic. Pretty much on board with anything that happens in those sketches. Like, they did such a great job. And like I said, it's part of my favorite parts of SNL. But having him come in as Joe Biden was fantastic, and again, highly recommend that performance. It looks like he's in about 6 episodes, and yeah, he plays it so well.
Right. I think number 2, I'm gonna have to say Ace Ventura.
All of them?
I think I've only seen the first one, but I think would that just be considered one role since it's the same character?
That's true.
Yeah, I don't know. Kind of just ridiculous, iconic Jim Carrey.
I feel like that was really the role that like put him on the map for a lot of people. Like, he'd obviously done like stuff before that, but I feel like that was when he became like a household name.
Yeah, I can see that.
Maybe. Like, I almost want to agree with you, mostly because I think Ace Ventura had the broadest audience. So I want to agree with you on that. Because it probably was there, because it is an earlier film of his. But honestly, I think my next one is what made him great.
But what is
what
it?
Put him on the Mask. I don't know. Like, 94 was a big year for him, though. Like, that those are 3 very big roles, all starting in 94. Granted, Ace Ventura got sequels, and so did Dumb and Dumber. But I don't know. The Mask is like my introduction to him, maybe. And I don't know. It's just a lot of fun.
I haven't seen this one.
You haven't seen The Mask?
I actually haven't either. I've seen a lot of it, but it's not one that I've seen the whole movie.
We do have the Bring Back Our Movie segment. So the mask revolves around like a bank teller. I don't know. He his life's not very put together. He's like middle aged, but he finds a mask, which is which when he puts on transforms into this like cartoonish character. Like if you are into like the story of it and the lore, the mask contains the spirit of Loki, apparently, supposedly. I don't think that's even actually technically mentioned, but it's been so long since I've seen it. Um, but yeah, he comes like kind of supernatural and gets taken over, and then like he robs banks and stuff, but like he rubs some other guys the wrong way, and then people are trying to steal the mask, and it's. I'm not saying it's a great story, but it's definitely very entertaining.
Mm-hmm. This is one, and the reason that I say Ace Ventura is I feel like I was definitely not allowed to see The Mask until after I'd already seen. And of course, I mean, I didn't see any of them when they came out, but Ace Ventura was like the first one from that chunk that I was able to see. And so, and it's the one that I feel like I hear a lot of people call back to. Now, granted, it only came out months before The Mask, so it's not like it's like multiple years before that, but yeah.
I mean, they're all PG-13.
So for me, for my number 3, I feel like this is a weird one because it's so not normal Jim Carrey, but that's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. A very interesting look at memory and relationships and things like that. This is one that I need to go back and rewatch. That I haven't seen this one in quite a while. But so like I really want to go back and watch it as an adult. Like I feel like the last time I saw it was like middle school, high school, that age. And so it's definitely one that like going through this list, it's like, oh, I need to go and see that one again and see if it hits differently now, having been through more life experience. But yeah. Also, though, one I would be hesitant to recommend to anyone who was a Jim Carrey fan. I feel like it's definitely out there from his normal stuff.
It's a good one. It's a good drama.
Yeah.
It's like it is definitely his most notable dramatic role.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen that one either. I feel like it's been on my list for years, but I have not gotten to it.
Sheen, what's your number 3?
My number 3, I really want to say The Grinch, but Chris stole it. So I'll just say that I see it every year. It's one of my like must-see Christmas movies, and I can quote pretty much the whole thing. But for my real number 3, I will say Bruce from Bruce Almighty.
It's a good one as well.
I saw it fairly recently, actually, considering how old it is now, I guess. 20 years next year.
Oh, don't do that to me.
So yeah, I saw it pretty recently, but it's good. I really liked it. Yeah, I don't know. I think just that scene of him trying to answer all of people's prayers is it's great. And I feel like it actually has a lot of good things to say about faith as well, which is interesting.
Yeah, it is surprisingly deep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the trope for him. Like so many like kind of that that aspect of something happening to him supernaturally. I think he surprisingly excels in those roles.
What's your last one, Chris?
My last one is, man, I'm like trying to go through here and decide. Yeah, let's go with I guess Yes Man. Maybe I don't know if that's his best though. I think maybe I just like that because of it, who's acting across from. Is that just a Zoe? That's a Zoe movie. I guess that is like, yeah, he does a great job in it, but I also like, I guess Liar Liar, I think might be one of my favorites of his. Again, that the idea of something supernatural happening to him. In this case, he can't tell lies. Um, and he's worse yet, he's an attorney that can't tell lies. Um, yeah.
Yep. Liar Liar and Bruce Almighty are like probably both my number 4. Like that's kind of where those fall. Those are both great ones. Liar Liar was my backup for this list.
I was like, I mean, like, I definitely remember from Dumb and Dumber, but it's like, that's not, I'm not sure if that makes my list. I think that those characters frustrate me more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Anymore, like currently. Like at the time, sure, is funny, but I have more distinguished taste now. No.
In chat, Emma says The Truman Show, and Bruce Almighty, and then that Liar Liar is on her watch list and says that some USC grad worked on it. Go Liar Liar. Listeners, drop down in the comment section what your favorite Jim Carrey roles are, how you feel about his retirement, all that kind of stuff. That's going to bring an end to our show for this week. So as always, you can find us as One Geek 411 on our social media. You can join our Discord server if you want to chat between shows, or send us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. You can also check out our Redbubble store and watch live on Twitch, 6:45 Monday nights, and be part of the post-show chats, and then find the videos over on our YouTube. You can also rate, comment, and subscribe on that YouTube, and just rate and subscribe on podcast services. And then check out our website, onegeek411.com. And then you can find us through our personal social medias. Mine is Humar Whittle.
I'm the Hoot and Howl on Twitter and Hoot and Howl Tales, TALES on Instagram.
And I'm not so foreign.
And it's been a great week.
Wash your hands.
Read a book.
I love you.